Hey everybody, it's Declan here. Hello, we're live on Instagram and we're live on Facebook. I look better on Facebook and Instagram. Must be the camera. Must be a big fat camera. I need to get back in the gym. Hey everybody, I hope you're well. I hope you're keeping really, really well. I just wanted to I've been studying something, a really amazing book, which is called The Untethered Soul by Mr. Michael A. Singer. And many of you may have read it before, but sometimes in personal development, you don't read a book once, you read it over and over and over. And this idea for this live came to me today because I was thinking about a great man called Bob Proctor, who has really had an amazing impact in my life. For those of you who don't know me, I work closely with Bob. I'm a consultant in his consultant division, and I run a company that helps people to really make big changes in their lives using a variety of different information. A lot of it is Bob's, a lot of it is other stuff that I've learned myself through my own study. But in this book, Michael Singer talks about something that Bob referred to this week. So Bob Proctor has entered into his 60th year in studying personal development. And I sat next to an amazing lady called Reen from Australia one time, and she asked him a question in a little group of us sitting together in a room in Toronto with Bob. And she said, when you lose your attitude, like sometimes we can get into a bit of a rut. Everybody can, but we study and teach this material all the time. We study personal development, and we kind of can be very tough on ourselves if our attitude shifts and our attitude goes down. So Reen asked him a question I think we all wanted to ask him, but none of us thought to ask him that day. And she was like, you mentioned earlier on about getting into a bad mood, or she goes, how long does that last for you? And when you know you're losing your attitude, and your inner critic is getting to you. And he thought for a second, and he goes, I suppose about 40 seconds to a minute. He said, I've been doing this 58 years. I'm getting pretty good at it. Oh no, he said, I'm beginning to get the hang of it. That's what he said. And I could hear there's about 10 of us in the room at a very special training. And I could hear everyone in the room go, oh, because it's like, you're 60 years studying this and you're telling us you're just getting the hang of it. Oh my God. And we were thinking of, the personal financial investment we made into our personal development, the travel we've put into it, the work we've put into it. And Bob's there 60 years. And he's like, I'm getting pretty good at it. I'm beginning to get the hang of it. But it was really cool. He's that kind of a guy. He's 88 now, I think 87 years of age, and he's got great, just great fun, right? But anyway, enough about Bob. I thought about him, and then I thought about this chapter in this book, Your Inner Roommate, right? Michael A. Singer is the name of the book, is The Untethered Soul. Okay, now in this, I just want to read a tiny bit, and then discuss it, and then we're done. Your inner growth is completely dependent upon the realization that the only way to find peace and contentment is to stop thinking about yourself. You're ready to grow when you finally realize that the I, who is always talking inside, will never become content. And that is absolutely 100% true in my own personal experience. Prior to even investing a penny into personal development with any kind of a coach, with any books. I mean, I went into Waterstones in Cork City in probably 2003, and I pulled up my hood and because I went into the self-help section. If anyone sees me here, and I bought a book called Never Sweat the Small Stuff, because it's all small stuff, by Richard Carlson. And that day, I remember I got on the number 8 bus. For any of you living in Cork, I really was stuck to the ground with anxiety. I couldn't go home because I was worried my girlfriend would be worried about me. She's now my wife, June. And I didn't want to go to work. I actually mitched off from work because I was just like so anxious. My heart was palpitating. My stomach was in knots. And I really was in a bad state at that moment. It was something had happened, an incident had happened a few days before in the bar I was working in. And it really had an impact on me. Some guys came in, they had loads of food. They smashed the place up and left. And I was the manager, 21-year-old, didn't know what I was like the guy on The Simpsons, like, excuse me, you didn't pay your bill. I was really scared. So anyway, it was an incident. It was a trauma, I suppose. But I bought that book because I knew it wasn't just that incident. I knew that I was quite susceptible to that high level of anxiety that was affecting my work life and my relationship. And I was like, feck this, like, I've got to do something. I wasn't living with my girlfriend at the time. I was living with 3 lads in a student house, kind of thing. And I used to keep that book under my pillow because the lads, we'd go from room to room and we'd be borrowing, getting a lighter off the other guy or whatever. And I thought if they saw the book, they'll take the piss out of me. But why did I think I needed that book at the time? Well, it was just, I knew I needed something. And I'm just grateful that I had the gumption to go into Waterstones and buy that book. But like he says here, it always has a problem with something. And if I could go back 20 years, I'm 40 now, a few weeks ago, if I could go back almost 20 years and be in that moment at that roundabout in Wilton and meet him and say, Declan, it just seems to be a part of life. You know, you learn to live with it. You know, like I personally didn't go down the road of having to get medicated for it. I'm not knocking it. People do need that support, but I didn't want to. I just wanted to figure myself out and where it came from. And I'm still discovering that. But where I'm doing this video from right now, I'm doing it into like a beautiful phone, a really nice laptop. I'm doing it in a house that I use personal development to create. You know, I wake up every morning saying, holy crap, this positivity, law of attraction stuff works. You know, that's the truth of it. I wake up in the morning going, wow, this works. It's like a mantra of mine, because that's a story for any of you guys who are my clients right now, or have worked with me before, or know some of my other lives, or you've been on some of my master classes, or maybe you're members of a Facebook group I'm in. You'll know that, like, the greatest victory I've had so far was going from impossible, no way I'm going to qualify for a mortgage, to building this house that me and my wife and kids live in, and I love it and all that stuff. But I wake up here and I walk around this house and I still hear that, as my mentor Bob said the other day, if there's any kids around, block their ears. He was like, and 60 years doing this, and from time to time, it's not very loud and it's not very powerful, but he goes, that bitch of a voice is still there. You're not that person. You're not who you think you are, because the way, like Bob has taught us to do, I have a folder over there. I'll spare you getting it, but I have this big, thick folder that I've been writing in, like, all the time, writing my affirmation every morning, writing out the life I want to live, and I'm living it. 5 years ago, when I first really started on this journey, I couldn't believe any of the stuff I was listening, and I was like, oh, they're all in America, they're all in Australia, they're different, you know. It's easy for them to talk about this stuff because they've got that money, but they got that money because they became that person that they're telling you about, and they're explaining it. Like, a lot of people like YouTube, they like personal development. You might even be watching my video because you like personal development, but the development starts when you actually start applying it. And when you start applying it, that's when this little pup shows up. Like, I'll say it again, the I who is always talking inside will never become content. It always has a problem with something. And that is ultimately something I think a lot of people have to come to terms with, because, you know, one of the things I do with my clients most of all is I'm very, very good at remembering their wins and playing back to them the good that I've seen them do, the changes I've seen in them. And it is so hard for them to remember that. They appreciate it, and they appreciate it, and they go, wow, thanks. Yeah, you're right. I didn't notice that. Or else they'll call up and say, Declan, I've got this idea. What do you think? And I might say, well, what do you think? I think I want to do this. Oh, well, go do it then. And they go, oh, that's great. Thanks very much. And all I've done is held a space for 1 second for them to validate the idea they already knew they wanted. I think that's what a lot of coaches do, really. But I just allow them that 1 second. Now, it depends on the person. If it's somebody who really genuinely needs me to answer, I'll answer. But 90% of the time, I just got to hold that moment and say, what do you think? What would you like to do? But you see, the reason they want to do it is because they're talking to me now, and it's me and them. And it's me and them talking about their future and their potential. But prior to that, they've been hanging around with their inner roommate, right? Honestly, he goes, when was the last time you really had nothing at all bothering you? Zip, ziddly, diddly, none. Now, this is Michael Singer, not me, but I like this. You know, he goes, when was the last time you really had nothing bothering you? Something happened in September, a really amazing boost in business. Everything just went crazy in 2 days. And I came off the call, and I called my assistant straight up, and we were chatting, and it's straight away, you know, I forgot to do this one part. Like, she was ringing me to say, that was amazing. The enthusiasm in the group was great. Da, 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 da. Yeah, but I could have done this. And it was just ridiculous how it just flowed out from me so easily and nonchalantly. So before you had this current problem, there was a different problem. But if you're wise, you'll realize that after this one is gone, there will be another one. The bottom line is, you will never be free of problems until you are free from the part within which has so many problems. I'm not going to give you all of my thoughts on this is what you should do and this is how it works and click on this link and subscribe to my nothing. You know, I'm just having this conversation with you guys for 10 minutes because I think that alone could be brilliant on a Tuesday afternoon. Somebody being on your phone saying, it's bloody normal. Like a few years ago, my password for everything I logged in for was it's necessary. And I wasn't affirming that difficulties are necessary, and I wasn't then therefore programming myself to have difficulties in the future. When I read that, every time I typed that into every device, and I didn't just do the, hold down the fingerprint and unlock, I would type into everything, because I learned time and time again, and I'd drawn it, like this is my whiteboard here in my office. I do a lot of like doodles and drawings from my clients, and I'd drawn this thing where sometimes just before a breakthrough, there is that little bit of resistance. And that's the thing that I was talking about. It's necessary, because sometimes you'll feel like, oh, I'm not getting there. And you just got to go beyond for that little bit longer. But even if the physical results around you are improving, even if people are complimenting you, even if the results are there for all to see, and the results are a clear indication of what's going on inside. The results are a clear indication of how you've been thinking and feeling and acting. Okay, we'll go to, keep following me, and you'll see more about what that means in time. I might explain that in more detail in a different video. But that inner roommate is somebody that you need to know how to just live with. I personally have never referred to as an inner roommate. I talk about my own voice with myself and my paradigm or whatever. And I'll just summarize like this. One tiny little tip that maybe I can help you with today, if you are listening to this and you want more and you're like, he didn't explain it. I would look at it this way. When I was in Cork, or living in Galway, or living in Limerick, or Perth, or wherever, Sydney, wherever, if I crossed the road, I'd look around left and right and I cross the road. Since I became a dad, when I have the kids with me, or if I, going out with other people and their kids, like I'm extra cautious. And that's almost like what your paradigm is like. When you decide that you're doing some sort of a growth outside of your inner or whatever, procrastination, fear, doubt, worry, who am I to do this, self-criticism, talking yourself out of it, who's going, fear of judgment, fear of criticism, all of these things are representative of the same type of system, this inner roommate, this inner voice, this inner critic. Or what I really love studying the last few years is that it is a paradigm. It is just a thermostat. You adjust it, and when you adjust it, and you need to adjust it, like I adjusted the heating now for November. So when I adjusted that, it's done once, and it's a mechanism that will always be consistently done. But ourselves, when we're making that shift, we've got to adjust every day. So that's why you got to study and write every day. You've got to make that adjustment. I am this person. I am earning this amount of money. I am in a loving relationship. I am one stone thinner. I am going to the gym every day. I am, like, whatever it may be, you've got to do it every day. And you've got to understand that that's good that your inner voice is being a real jerk, because you are growing. So I look at it like fear is, oh, nice. I'm going through a change here. This is good. Good stuff, Dec. Well done. I used to run in the opposite direction. I used to run towards comfort, and I would run away from fear. And now I put myself really on the edge all of the time, because I want to show my clients, my children, that, I'm developing and growing every year. Because if I expect them to do it, and if I tell them, look, you study this and you are going to make changes, I want them to observe me making those changes, because it's not hype, then it's real, So I do share what I'm doing and tell people what are my intentions, how I'm going to get there, and then just go for it. So anyway, guys, I live a lot closer to this inner roommate perhaps than you guys do. I do hear the self-criticism. I'll give you an example. As I was grabbing my laptop and my phone to do this video, I could feel a noise in my head going, I remember somebody, it was just somebody on a podcast going, and I hate people reading to me on a live call. And that popped into my head as I was getting ready to do this video. And I smiled. I was like, this is exactly what I'm going talking about. My daughter is 10, and she's in there now doing homework. And, I've watched her development over her 10 years, worrying about this one in the creche or that one in the school, and what are they going to say? And Dad, don't embarrass me. It's absolutely amazing. But just like freckles or eyelashes or whatever, we've inherited it. We've grown up with it. I watch them watching TV and how they absorb it. Like, we all watch TV when we were kids. We're absorbing and we're soaking in social status and size and skin color and wealth versus poverty. Like, we are absolutely incredible, and we're soaking it all up. And then we go and blame ourselves for the lack of confidence that we have, or we shit on ourselves for saying, you know, I'm not as good as them, and then I hate myself for not feeling as good as them as the first place. It becomes a little bit of a what's called a negative downward spiral. So at any point, this is what I like to do. At any point, you just go, enough, done, and you take control, because if you actually listen to the inner voice, it's almost your own voice. So the more you do it, the more you start talking about what is good about you, what you've done well, what your friends would say about you. If you're really honest with yourself and you turn up the volume on who you truly really are, and you turn down the volume in that inner critic, that doubtful, critical, pain in the ass, like you would not put up with it from another human being. So stop putting up with it from yourself. And that's it. That's all I wanted to say. It was just so humbling to hear Bob say this after 60 years. He's like, I'm starting my 60th year. 6 days ago was his 60th year studying personal development. And he referred to it as that little bitch. He said, I still hear it. So give yourself a break. Stop making shit up about yourself. Be nice to yourself and overpower that inner critic by looking around at all the good things you've done, like looking over everything that you've done. Think about what your friends would say about you. Think about what, think of the good you've done, and be honest with yourself. And look back at everything you've done that's been really good and focus on that. Write it down, make a list. And, that paradigm will try and say, yeah, don't look at that list. That was nice inspiration on that video, but don't look at that list. Look at your results. Look at your bank account. Look at this. Look at the time you failed. And that's what it tends to do. And if this resonates with you, then good, because you're human and it's normal. And be nice to yourself and just don't pay attention any longer. Okay, so that's it. There's no start or end to this. I could go all day. Just goodbye. I hope you enjoyed the video. Lots of love. Have a great Tuesday. See you later.